What if I told you that living a long life isn't what you really want? Reading your comments, I remember the book that was written by a nurse who spent years caring for patients in final stages of their lives. And sadly, so many were unhappy with how they lived because of this one thing: regret. Well,
I do regret.
Talk happens to everyone whenever you are 10 or 96, but research shows that only 10% of older people live without regrets, while staggering 90% carry significant life regrets. With time, regrets we carry get even heavier and drag us down. So I decided to do my part and talk about what those 10% of people are doing, because I know regrets are not serving us, and if 10% are able to do it, we know that there is a way to remove them from our lives for good. First, we want to remember, what do we really want? Learn what the most common regrets are and how to let them go. And if you stay until the end, I'm gonna give you 3 easy steps to free yourself from regret for good. So what do we really want? To explore this, I'm gonna go way back to ancient Roman times when Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Thinking on that much of our lives is wasted, what did he really mean by that? I found my explanation in another quote. Some of us lack the courage to change. We lack the courage to live as we should. Okay, a new question. How should we live? Well, I would say true to ourselves. But what does that really mean? Well, let's face it. Most of us are raised to obey our parents no matter what they say, and that continues then in schools, in our jobs, even in our relationships. But what if we forget about ourselves in the process? And then it's even harder to remember what living a life to us really means. Going back to Seneca, what do we experience when we're not going for what we really want or expressing how we really feel? Well, they all have one thing in common. They live in the past, and it's called regret. So what we really want is to live a happy life in accordance to what brings us happiness. And if we do that, there's a greater chance we're also gonna live longer. But what would you rather choose? 70 years of happiness or 90 years of misery? Okay, first we want to learn what the most common regrets are, and I'm gonna call an Australian nurse by the name of Bronnie Ware to the rescue. Bronnie spent several years caring for patients in their final stages of their lives, and she identified the common themes of regret expressed by the dying, which she shared in a blog post. And that blog post gained so much attention that she extended her thoughts in the book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. It's a great book, and you can find it in the description below. The first regret is often described as most powerful, and it's the one that people mention most frequently. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Do you remember what Seneca said? Some of us lack the courage to change. We lack the courage to live as we should. So this is nothing new, as Seneca was born more than 2000 years ago. Reflecting on my own life, I often made decisions based out of fear, based of how others might perceive me. And instead of following my own path, I made choices that would make other people happy. Thankfully, after reading so many great books and listening to so many great talks, I shifted that mindset. I no longer let the opinions and judgments of others control my choices. Instead, I focus on what brings me happiness, what brings me excitement, fulfillment. And speaking up and sharing some lightness, some happiness is definitely what brings me joy. Yet so many people never come to that realization, and they spend their lives based on judgments and expectations of others. And then at the end of their lives, this sadly often becomes one of their greatest regrets. Let's change that. Let this serve as a powerful reminder of how we want to live. And I'm happy to be that reminder for you. So if you click on subscribe and click on the notification bell, YouTube will show you my next release. Okay, regret number 2. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. This can be related to working so many hours, but I believe there is another thing. I think it's working on things that don't feel meaningful to you. To explain this, I'm gonna share a short story talking about two different people, two builders. And when they asked the first person about their work, the first person replied with frustration, saying, "I'm laying bricks to build a wall." And then when they asked the second person replied with enthusiasm and said, "I'm building a great building that will be visited by so many people, 1,000, maybe even millions, even long after I'm gone." So I think it's about this quote I once heard. It's really not about what we do, but who we are when we do it. The truth is that every work is honorable, but it's on us to see it that way. Okay, number 3. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. This goes back to number 1, because we are afraid of saying what we want to say, because we are afraid that we're gonna be shut down or that others will not understand us or look at us in a certain way. Ask yourself, why do you care if your goal is to be happy? People who want to be in our life will adapt and be okay no matter how strange we think we are. And others will go away anyway. When we understand that, we're kinder to ourselves and we start to make choices that align with how we want to live our lives. Number 4. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Seneca said, "Nothing delights the mind so much but loving a loyal friendship." Friends are an important part of our lives, but the truth is that true friendship can only go both ways. So it's always on both to do their part to stay in touch, but also understand that our lives have never been more busy, and it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of time we spend with our friends. And don't be afraid to tell your friends how you really feel about them, because that will make both of your days. Because you will both feel a lot for your friendship. In truth, we never know when is the last time we see our friends. So this is really important. Number 5. I wish that I had let myself be happier. I will go to Seneca one more time. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Personal happiness is the most important thing, and it's only on us to feel it. In truth, it's there all the time. We just have to know how to access it. A new car, a new job, a new relationship might open that stream of happiness, but for how long? Those are all external things. And happiness comes from where? As kids, especially in the first years of our lives, we are all so happy, just because happiness is the most natural state. But later, when our minds became more active, we start to block that energy flow with looking of how others might perceive us, instead of just living the lives we want to live. All the things we're not happy about, our minds are the root cause of. Our minds are beautiful, but educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. That's Aristotle. So how to let go of regret in 3 easy steps. I call it NAR. Notice, acknowledge, and remember. Whatever the regret is, let's say it's this bottle of water. If I extend my arm, this bottle of water is not heavy at all. But if I hold it like this for 5 minutes, it's gonna start to hurt a little bit. And then after 10 minutes, it's gonna start dragging my arm down, you know? So what we want to learn is how to let go. Let go of the regret. Okay, so how do we do that? Whatever is dragging us down, we can notice that that's not a natural thing because it's taken away from our happiness. So what we want to do is acknowledge that we are feeling this way, and it needs to be okay. You know, I'm feeling certain anger or sadness or whatever about the situation that happened. We need to acknowledge because it needs to be okay. Why it needs to be okay? Because it needs to go through us. We need to experience the emotion to be able to let it go. If we don't, if we repress it, we're just gonna keep it, and then it becomes a regret. So the second step is acknowledge, and the third step is to remember. And I know this is not easy because we have so many stories about, this and that, and those are all stories when we were not happy. And why do we want to hang on to them? I know we don't, but this is when we want to remember, or be remembered, or be reminded that those stories are really not serving us. And if we want to be happy, if we really want to be happy, we will find a way to let them go. So we want to change our entire relationship with ourselves. So if something comes up from our past that's creating disturbance, you let it go. We let it go. We give it love. We give it a hug. We kiss it on the forehead if we need to. And we say, we're sorry. Say sorry to that part of ourselves. Sorry that I kept you in for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You can't expect locking a kid in a closet for 3 years, then you let him out because you thought that you probably shouldn't do that. And he's acting all weird and you say sorry, and it's like, why is he acting so weird? I said, I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that. It takes time. And what if it happens again? You do it again. You say sorry. Sorry to that part of yourself that you blocked it inside. You kept it in. And what if it happens again? You do it again. That's all a practice. Just how to be better to yourself. Because regrets are like an anchor. They're just dragging you down, destroying your life. And if you say, I don't know how to do that, I can correct your English and say, I haven't learned how to do that yet. And that's a whole different way of looking at it, right? So your life becomes this, fluent experience. I'm just sitting here and experiencing this, and life is gonna unfold how it's gonna unfold. But I'm gonna be good to myself. So we want to learn how to do that because we want to be happy. If we really want to be happy, we'll learn it. I'm sure of it. And remind yourself, say to yourself, I want to live free from regret. And that becomes your new pole star because you want to be happy. Living free doesn't mean being perfect or never making a mistake. It just means I choose love. I choose love over fear. If you want to break free from regret and all lower parts of ourselves that are really not serving us, consider subscribing to this channel. I'm just getting started and I'm happy to give you tools to help you remember. Yeah, and I said remember because you already know, you already have all of this, and there are no limitations except the ones we put on ourselves. And if we put them on, we can put them off. Take it as a game where all we have to do is try to do our best, and our best is always good enough. So we are good to ourselves in the process. Remember, nothing really matters if you're not good to yourself. I'm gonna end this with how I started, with Seneca, when he said, how do I know if I'm making progress? I know I'm becoming a better friend to myself. Thank you so much for watching. Here's a great video that goes perfectly with this one, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.